Welcome to Bibliophiles Anonymous, episode 21. I'm Denise.
And I'm Jess.
And today is an exciting day because not only do we get to finish talking about the rest of Chloe Neill's Chicagoland Vampires series, including the brand new book 7 that we got the ARC on, but we also have a prize to give away.
Yay!
So,
prizes are always fun.
Yeah, we have selected a winner, and we will announce that winner at the end of the show. But before we get to any of that, we'll start. First, I thought we might check in with our reading goals, how we're doing so far.
Not as good as I could be. I go through these phases that I won't read that much for a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly I will read everything I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of in the slump right now.
That happens.
And, I'll come out of it and start reading and, devour my entire bookshelf probably. But
well,
I'm still working on Beautiful Creatures. I'll finish it, I promise, eventually.
Well, the main reason I wanted to talk about the reading challenge is because I'm actually doing really good.
I think I have finished 6 books. I don't know. Something like that.
According to Goodreads, I've done 18.
Wow.
I don't know how.
Yeah, you're kicking my butt.
I don't know why. I don't know how. But I've just been like a reading fiend. Well, part of it was reading, 7 books in less than like a week and a half for the podcast. That helps.
Yeah.
But let's see. I just finished another book that was actually very interesting. I've been reading a lot about vampires lately and a lot about zombies lately, so I figured why not throw in some cyborgs?
Oh, wow.
Why not? So I found this book over at our smaller used bookstore of awesomeness that we have. It's called Skinned by Robin Wasserman. And I just thought that the cover and everything just looked kind of interesting, but it's about this teenage girl who it takes place in I don't want to say a dystopian future, but fairly far in the future. And this teenage girl is in a really, really bad car accident, and there's some procedure, some way that they are able to download your brain, basically. It's more complicated than that, but they go through your brain and back it up like in a computer, and then they build a new person, and they put all that in there. So she has to kind of adjust to this because, these people, a lot of people don't think they are people. Some people are like, it's an abomination, and you have to there's this whole debate about whether they're actually alive or not, because they think that they are, but most people around them don't, and she doesn't really fit in with her family as much anymore, but her family was the one that made the decision to do this to her. It's really complicated and kind of weird, but it was also really, really good. So
that's interesting.
It was really different. I don't think I've ever read anything quite like it. So that's always fun.
Yeah, it's always fun to find something that's not like everything else you've ever read.
Right.
I've mentioned that before, that's something that if a book can give me something I've never seen before, I'm probably going to like it.
Right. Well, and see, but the thing that really gets me is because, I've tried to make this goal about finishing series that I start instead of abandoning them and not ever remembering what happened in the first book or the first couple books. Like, I have Lyriel by Garth Nix. I got it from the library, and that's the next one I'm going to start, because that's the next book after Sabriel, which we had talked about a couple weeks ago. Yeah. So that's the next book I'm going to read. I haven't started it yet, but it's on my nightstand. And when I was looking for books at the bookstore, I was just kind of looking through, and like I said, this one just caught my eye, and it sounded interesting. Of course, it's the first book in a series.
Naturally.
Like, why couldn't it just be a standalone, and I could just read it and not have to...
there?
Yeah, and not have to worry about going further, because now I'm going to have to track down the other books. I have to now.
at least that's not as bad as me going into Walmart and picking up a book called Redeeming the Lost by Elizabeth Kerner. It was dragons. It was fantasy. It sounded really good.
Hmm.
I did not realize until I'm halfway through the book that it's book 3 in a series.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, whoops. So naturally, I had to track down the first 2.
Of course.
And I read them, and I really, really loved them. They were really, really good. It was an interesting take on dragons. If you like dragons and you like fantasy, look them up. It's Elizabeth Kerner. It's the only 3 books she's ever written.
Okay.
They're really good.
All right. Sounds good. Well, let's go ahead and get started with the main discussion for today, because it's a pretty exciting one, I think.
Yes.
I know you've been looking forward to it.
Yes.
So,
are we going to tell everybody what happened at the end of book 4?
Okay, here's the thing. Everybody who's listening, you're going to have to accept the fact that we're going to be giving away some major spoilers. Now, I don't think that giving away these spoilers would in any way detract from your enjoyment of the book. Because just because you know a certain thing happens doesn't mean you know all the details or the events leading up to it or anything like that. So we are going to mention the big thing that happened at the end of book 4 that we were kind of hinting at, in our last episode. I think we need to tell them that, otherwise nothing else in the other book is going to make sense.
Right. Yeah. So here's the thing. If you don't want to hear that spoiler, if you think it'll pause this podcast right now and go read books 1 through 4, possibly 5 through 7 as well. Then come back and listen to this.
Yes.
Because there will be spoilers.
Yes. But didn't you say that there was a scientific study that said that even if you do know spoilers, it affect your enjoyment of
right. I read somewhere.
Yeah.
It may have been, I don't remember exactly where I read it, but I read somewhere that they have scientifically proven that spoilers actually don't ruin books. They actually make you enjoy them more.
So there you go. We're actually helping you enjoy the books. We're not spoiling it. That's what we're doing.
Right. Yes.
That's our story, and we're sticking to it.
Exactly. Sophistry, but it's good sophistry, so it works.
Yes.
I read way too much David Eddings, but anyway. Yes. So, yeah, at the end of book 4...
Why don't you tell
them? The last scene of the book is a very pivotal one because you end up with Selena, who is very much the bad guy throughout these books.
Right.
And Merritt and Ethan. And Selena tries to kill Merritt, and Ethan dives in front of the stake that Selena threw, and it kills Ethan.
Yep.
And then Merritt kills Selena, which I cheered for, but then I wanted to throw the book across the room. Mm-hmm. Because that was just not cool. That was not cool, Chloe Neill.
Well, see, that was the problem, because I finished book 4, and then I had to wait until after we recorded to start reading the rest of them. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, how can you do that? No, you don't understand. That's what we were saying last week. That's against the rules. You're not allowed to do that. Why did you do that?
You can't do that. It's not right.
Yeah.
But I was afraid when I finished book 4. The thing that worried me is a lot of times, and like I said, because I'm sort of genre savvy to stuff like this because I've always watched things like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Supernatural and things of that nature. And a lot of times if you kill a character like that and then bring them back, it kind of cheapens what happened.
Right.
And it's like, well, that you can't do that. That does. But Chloe Neill actually did a very good job with it, I thought.
I did too. Because I was, when you kept saying last week, you were saying when she fixes that. If you're just thinking, how on earth did anime fix that? That's pretty final. And then, oh wait, no, this is a world that has vampires and shapeshifters and sorcerers. So no, I guess that doesn't mean anything.
Not completely outside the realm.
These things happen. But
the thing is, though, with a vampire, it's a little harder because with a vampire, when you kill them, they're dust, they're gone.
Yeah.
With a vampire, it's even more final than it is. Like, a human being dies, there's still a body there that you can re-inhabit with a soul or whatever.
Or something. anything.
Yeah.
But
with a vampire, it's a pile of dust.
yeah, it's like, how
But
are you going to put that back together again?
of course, in order to get Ethan back, Mallory had to go a little bonkers.
She went a lot bonkers. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to tell people, because I stopped doing it a little bit at the end of House Rules, just because I was trying to finish the book and I was just kind of lost in it. But for a while, I started live tweeting as I was reading the books. And I originally said everybody needs a Mallory Carmichael, because I was just like, she's awesome, she's such a good friend, and then she loses her mind.
Yes.
And I felt like saying, I take that back. Nobody needs a Mallory.
But it's okay, because she's sorry.
She's working her way back. And
But yeah,
basically what happened is, as she was studying, she almost got, she was studying with the Order and testing with them. I still don't quite understand everything about the Order, but
yeah, I don't either. I think that's intentional.
yeah. But
It's intentionally left kind of mysterious.
yeah. But she was going to be testing with them. I don't know if they get licensed or what, but she was going through all of this, and it was really grueling, and she was exhausted all the time, and you started feeling really bad for her, because she's just really, really stressed out beyond what you think she can handle, and her whole personality's changed. And then you find out that she's basically become addicted to dark magic.
Yes.
And
Which kind of smacks of Willow on Buffy, but
well, it happens. And so
yeah,
she doesn't know what to do about it. Well, she comes up with an idea of what to do about it, and it's
not a very good one.
It's pretty much the worst thing ever.
Yeah. There's this book. She basically, what it is she feels like the universe is out of balance because of the keys. The Order, the magic in the Order, they go by what they call keys. And I don't remember what all the keys are. But there's 8 of them, and they only teach 4 of them, I think.
Right.
And because the other 4 are apparently dark magic and bad, and we don't need those. And Mallory gets off on this whole, no, the magic needs to be reunited thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not fair. The Order doesn't need to keep this locked away, and decides that she's going to fix it.
Yes, because that's helpful.
Yes. When, the sky that goes crazy and the lake turns black and all this fun stuff.
Yeah,
find out
it's all elemental, and it's the water, they're right next to obviously Lake Michigan, and the whole it becomes, they were calling it a magic vacuum. It was just, It felt like it was like drawing magic into it, and it just turned like black and like gunky, kind of nasty looking. And then, so that'd be water, and then air.
When the sky
turned red, and there was lightning all over the place.
Yeah.
And then earth, there were like all these earthquakes and mountains just like springing up through downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah. I can see where that would be a problem. Driving down the road and boom, there's a mountain.
Yeah, it's not good. And then you have, well, they stopped her before she got too far along with fire, so that was good.
And it's the end of book 5 when Ethan shows back up, isn't it? When you find out what Mallory's doing. Apparently she's trying to turn Ethan into a familiar.
Yeah, and I didn't quite get that either. I was just, how is that going to work? Because you always hear of animals like cats or ravens or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're smaller, they're less complex, but how are you going to have another human, or in this case a vampire, as a familiar? I mean, that's kind of a crazy idea to begin with. I mean, she wasn't in her right mind, but
no. And well, the thing that worried everybody is that when she did this, they were afraid that Ethan, even though she didn't complete the ritual, they were afraid that Ethan would still be under her control in some way, that he wouldn't be Ethan anymore.
Right.
Which, he did kind of have an attitude adjustment after he came back, and I like him even more than I did before, because somewhere along the way he found a sense of humor. one of my favorite parts of book 7 is when he and Merritt are laying in the bed and she's like, uh, what do zombies say at a rally?
Uh-huh.
And he does his zombie imitation and she was like, that was pretty good. That was frighteningly good. And he's like, well, I was dead for a while.
Yeah, he came back, and it they always had all of these problems, Ethan and Merritt, where they were either never on the same page, or there was that whole issue where he was afraid that she was distracting him from what he needed to do, and then he wanted to come back and she didn't trust him. But, this seemed to fix everything.
Yeah,
Because they were afraid to lose one another again.
right,
And
and he wasn't. He kind of pulled the stick out of his butt.
yes, which was much needed.
Yes, it really was. And then there's the whole and we should probably explain the Red Guard thing too.
I'm happy about the Red Guard, even if Ethan is not.
Yeah. See, I kind of like the Red Guard. I like the idea of the Red Guard, but it's because I think that the Greenwich Presidium are a bunch of stuffy tools.
They are.
And I don't like them.
No.
And they all need to go rot.
Yes.
But basically the Red Guard is an organization that exists among vampires. It's a very secret organization. Nobody knows who's in it unless you're in it.
Right.
And they serve sort of to not really police the masters of the houses, but to kind of keep an eye on them and make sure that they're keeping vampires as a whole in their best interest.
Right.
Rather than, serving them, becoming self-serving like the GP.
Uh-huh.
And after Ethan dies and Merritt is still standing sentinel of Cadogan House, she's approached by Jonah and invited to join the Red Guard. And she has to think about it. And she does. She thinks about it a long time. She does a lot of soul searching about it. And I can kind of understand why she made the decision she did, because it's kind of like her job as sentinel, but on a bigger scale.
Right.
What the Red Guard does for vampires as a whole is what she does for Cadogan House.
Yes.
So I can see why she felt like it was a good idea to join.
Well, and plus, when she had lost Ethan, and Malik was running Cadogan House and doing a very fine job. I like Malik.
Yes, I do too.
He's good people. They had the people from the GP at the house, basically investigating every nook and cranny, and I hate Frank.
Yes.
I hate him. He is a sadistic jerk.
There are a lot
I would call him worse things, but I'm not going to do that on the show.
On podcast. No. There are words that are not fit for some of the younger people that may listen to our podcast.
Yeah, I mean he kept.
They're very strong words.
Yeah. The thing that he did when he was testing all of the guard.
Oh my God, that made me so mad.
Oh gosh. But I mean, basically he's putting them through all of these crazy, strenuous physical tests, and then makes them stand up on these posts and basically says that you have to stay up there as long as possible or you fail the test.
Right. And he does this, when the sun's coming up.
Which, in this world, means you're gonna die.
Right.
And so they're finally down to like the last two, and Merritt's up there, and this other girl, is it Juliet? I think it's Juliet.
Yeah.
And Juliet's watching as her part of the shade is leaving, and Merritt's finally just like, she jumps down, she's like, I forfeit. She wins. Get her down.
Oh, yeah, and basically the GP blames Merritt for all of their problems.
Yeah, because she cares about not just Cadogan House and not just vampires, but she cares about the city as a whole. And It's partially because of her that Cadogan House has gotten so involved in trying to solve all of these other problems. And the GP was like, no, your responsibility is to your house and nothing else. And she's like, I can't do that. I
Well,
was.
despite the fact that Selena took it upon herself to out vampires to the entire city, well, no, we kind of have to live in this world now since she told them we're all here.
Yeah. And so, that crime, everything that Selena did is just kind of brushed aside because she was a member of the GP.
Right.
But the fact that Merritt's now trying to go back and clean up all of these messes, they're like, no, you're getting too involved. And she's like, before I was ever a vampire, I was, from Chicago. This is my city. This is my home.
Right.
I'm not going to just turn my back on it. But I loved when, right after that, when she stared Frank down and basically said, oh, I don't even remember how she said it now, but, there were easier ways to just fire me. Or to something like that. And I'm like, yeah, you call him for what he did, because basically he's torturing people. Just
right. Well, because basically what he said, if any of the guards failed the test or forfeited, they lose their job.
Yeah.
And even though Merritt's not technically a guard, he put her up there, and he did it knowing that she would sacrifice herself.
Yeah.
That she would not let another vampire die, and that he could fire her. That's exactly why he did it. Mm-hmm. And she called him out on that.
Yeah. But that whole experience, having to deal with the GP and realizing how self-serving they were and how blind they were to all of the other issues, that's what made her want to join the Red Guard. And me personally, I think that she made the right decision. But
I do too.
Once Ethan came back, and okay, another person who needs to be slapped.
Lacey?
Yes. Oh
my God, I cannot stand her.
Okay, Lacey Sheridan. She's another master, and she used to be a member of Cadogan House. And Ethan turned her, and they had a relationship way back when. But she was presented to become a master and went through whatever procedure, testing, I don't know exactly how they do it, and became a master of her own house in San Diego, I think. Somewhere in California. Anyway, so she has her own house over there, and she's master, but she's been coming back to visit to show support and all this other stuff. Well, she clearly has feelings for Ethan still.
Oh, yes.
And as such, she can't stand Merritt at all.
No. See, I didn't really like Lacey the first time she showed up, but let me just say, after book 7, I want to stake her. Look, she reminds me of those girls who, are so insecure in who they really are that they try to be somebody else to impress people, because that's exactly what she did. She starts dressing and acting more like Merritt. Mm-hmm. Because she wants to get Ethan.
Yeah. And the other thing is, the reason that Ethan found out she was in the Red Guard anyway is because Lacey started spying on Merritt and saw her meeting with Jonah and accused her of having an affair.
Right. She accused her of cheating on Ethan, which is totally not what was going on. So in order to keep Lacey from going to Ethan and being like, hey, Merritt's, a hoochie mama, and she's out stuffing other vampires behind your back, she decided to tell Ethan that she had joined the Red Guard and that Jonah was her partner.
Right.
Which, also, I can't really blame her for that decision.
Right.
I mean, Ethan was pissed, but, better that it come from her than for Lacey to open her mouth.
Well, and I can see it from Ethan's point of view, too, because especially if you're a master and you've been a master for a long time, you know that, or your preconception of the Red Guard is vampires who are basically spying on you to try and undermine your authority.
Well, see, it kind of, I watch too many cop procedurals and read too many cop novels. It's kind of like the Red Guard is the equivalent of the Internal Affairs Bureau. Cops hate internal affairs because they're the people you have to report to if you do something wrong. Mm-hmm. And they think, internal affairs is out to bring down all cops. That's kind of how the masters see the Red Guard.
Right.
That they're policing the masters, when that's really, it's not really like that, at least in my head. That's not how I see it. I think the Red Guard serves a good purpose. Well, I think they need it.
Well, yeah, and it's not that they wouldn't spy on a master. if that master was doing something that was detrimental to vampires in their
Yeah.
house, in the city, and all of that. So in a sense, yeah, they do to a certain extent spy on the masters. But that doesn't mean that if you're a good master and you're doing everything that you're supposed to, that they're not on your side. I don't think that the Red Guard would have any problem with any of Ethan's decisions. I think that they would be, all for what he does for his people.
Right. I mean, and considering that, the Merritt being Sentinel, she knows what Ethan does. She knows Ethan's a good master.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, she's not really going to call any of his, unless, I mean, she's had problems with some of the decisions he's made before, and as Sentinel, she has pulled him up short before.
Mm-hmm.
So she has no problem doing that with Ethan.
She's getting very good at it, actually.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the same time, I can see why he would be upset.
Yeah.
And see it kind of as a betrayal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think she should. I think she made the right decision.
Right. Of course, I appreciated him telling Lacey off and sending her back to her house.
Yes. That was
like, yes.
That was a stand up and cheer moment.
Yes, I was like, go Ethan!
Yes.
Yay, you did the right thing there.
Get rid of that harpy.
Yes, because she was bound and determined that she was going to take Ethan back away from Merritt, because Merritt's not good for him.
Yeah, that's what she kept saying. She would like meet Merritt in the hallway, and she's just like, you need to stay away from him because you're bringing him down. You don't know him like I do. You don't know what he needs, and you're not good enough, basically. And first off, who are you to decide what he needs? I mean, okay, you guys were together at one point. Guess what? You're not anymore. So get over it.
And two, Ethan has changed. Ethan's not the same Ethan he was a few books ago.
Literally.
Yeah. Like I said, mostly the biggest thing with Ethan is after that is he kind of removed the stick from his butt. Just is the biggest problem with Ethan to start with was this whole, the superior attitude he had, and, I can't let myself be happy because it might detrimentally affect my decisions as master of this house, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, dude, you're a tool. Stop that. Because, you've got Merritt. You made her Sentinel. Obviously, you know that she's good at this job.
Right.
She can do her job. You can do your job. You can make this work if it's what you really want.
Right.
There were a few times I wanted to slap him silly.
Well, okay, so we've talked about all the characters, a lot of the characters we like, and a lot of the characters that we don't like. Let's talk about one that's very conflicting, and that would be or two, Seth Tate.
Yes.
What the heck happened with that?
Well, apparently, what had happened was, apparently he was sort of an angel.
Which you would never have guessed that.
No, well, apparently, see, the problem was, there was a twin to that, who was kind of evil, and the real Seth Tate, the one that was actually, originally Seth Tate, was actually the good one, and then the evil brother decided to take over everything and wreak havoc on Chicago.
Right. Because the whole way through you knew that, he was, I mean, even before we knew that he was kind of the bad guy, he was just kind of smarmy, and you were thinking, well, he's a mayor, he's a politician, so maybe there's just, a little oiliness there because, he's a politician.
Yeah.
But you didn't really see the extent of it. You just kind of got this really weird vibe. And then as more things happened, you realize that he was working with Selena and was behind the whole drug fiasco.
Yes.
And they're like, okay, well, he's a bad guy. All right. And Merritt comes to realize right away that he's not as human as they had once thought. And they can't figure out what he is. They know that there's some kind of magic swirling around him, which for some reason smells like lemons and sugar. I don't know why.
I don't even, but whatever.
Yeah, and they rule out that he's not a sorcerer, and they know he's not a vampire, and they know he's not a shifter, so they have no idea what he is. But he's also going after that book that Mallory was trying to get her hands on.
Yep.
And so they have to travel out in the middle of nowhere.
Nebraska, wasn't it?
Yeah. Um, to where the Order was hiding it. And okay, one of my favorite things, I don't even remember which book it was in, I think book 6. One of my favorite things was when they were at the silo and we meet the gnomes.
Yeah.
And the leader of there's these and they look like garden gnomes with the hats and the beards and everything, and they're helping to kind of protect the area, working with the Order, and the lead head or whatever of the gnomes, his name is Todd. I don't know why I found that so funny. Todd the gnome.
Yeah.
And they were just.
Well, you don't expect a gnome to have such a commonplace name.
Yeah. I don't know why that just cracked me up.
You
The whole
expect
thing
gnomes to have names like Rumpelstiltskin or something.
Yeah. But he's like, yeah, I'm Todd.
Yeah, I like that too. And the woman that is living in Nebraska that's kind of watching over the silo where the book is.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I wasn't sure if I trusted her.
Right.
And I'm still not sure if I do.
I think I do.
She wasn't around much in book 6. I mean,
I think I like Paige.
Yeah. She's apparently hit it off with the Cadogan librarian.
I want to know what his name is.
And, yeah, and let's talk about what an enormous tool Merritt's father is.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Trying to pay somebody to turn his daughter into a vampire.
Well, we had mentioned, I believe, last week that Merritt goes by her last name. She does not go by her first name. Merritt is her last name. Because her first name is Caroline. And she was named after her sister who died.
Right.
Because they basically saw her as trying to be like a replacement for this child that they'd lost. So they gave her that name, but of course, Merritt always felt like she never lived up to that, so she kind of went her own way. And I mean, we had mentioned that that's a lot of pressure to put on a little kid. Like, you are, we had you because we lost your other one, your sister, and that's the only reason you're here, kind of a feeling. So, yeah, Merritt's dad was going to pay Cadogan House, to pay Ethan, to turn Merritt into a vampire so that she would never die.
Yeah, and Ethan, at first when Merritt finds this out, she gets mad at Ethan.
Yeah.
Because at first she assumes that that's what happened.
Right.
But it's not. Because Selena got pissed off because Merritt's father didn't come to her. So she decides to just kill Merritt. And she's the one that had her attacked on the quad on the college campus. And Ethan came along and saved her.
Right. Because he did get the offer to do it, but he turned it down. He wasn't going to do it.
Right.
He was like, that's not how we work. So forget that. But yeah, that was just that's such backwards thinking. And especially ever since Merritt's become a vampire, she's been in more danger than she ever would have been as a grad student or as a professor or whatever it was she was going to end up doing. She's been in a lot more danger now because we have to talk about, all of our new villains. You have the new mayor.
Oh my god, I cannot stand her.
Mayor Kowalski, I think, or something like that. Yeah. And McKettrick.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't like him at all.
Well, you're not supposed to. Now, they basically think that all of these supernatural people are basically abominations. And that everything that happens in Chicago that has anything to do with anything supernatural is all the vampire's fault.
Right. Well, and then it doesn't even really have to be supernatural. Everything that is wrong with that city, apparently, is the vampire's fault.
Yeah. And so, they have protesters now that are outside Cadogan House grounds, and there's always, these press conferences are talking about how horrible they are and all these horrible things that are happening. And none of this happened before the vampires came to town. And all the vampires are like, hey, we've been here for hundreds of years, and,
Yeah, we're not
new. You just know about us now.
Right.
But, oh, yeah.
And by the way, we've been playing hero and saving your asses this entire time.
Yeah, you should be thanking us.
No, instead we're going to make them register.
Mm-hmm.
And carry identification cards and.
Right.
And
yeah, and McKettrick, he's developed a gun that shoots stakes, basically. So
yeah,
that's kind of.
And he really has it out for Merritt. He really doesn't like her.
Yeah. He's frightening almost in his willful ignorance of anything that's going on.
Yeah, he's a piece of work.
Yes, that's a nice way to put it.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in these, and I really, 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 really want book 8 like yesterday.
Well, let's talk some specifics that happened in House Rules, since that is the one that we got the advanced reader copy on. It's basically mostly centered around the fact that Cadogan House is not waiting around for the GP to pass sentence on them. They have voted, and they are going to leave the Greenwich Presidium.
Yep, they're just going to tell them a big in your ear and leave.
Off they go. Yeah, which is not something that is done.
No, it basically makes them rogues.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of things going around trying to figure out what's going to happen, because there's no precedent for it. And the GP is trying to take everything from them and leave them with absolutely nothing. And so a lot of it's very political in that respect.
Yeah.
And you just keep finding out just how oily they are.
Yes, all of them.
Yes.
Yeah, because, then they freaking try to... Okay, Cadogan House has always been guarded by fairies. They've always had their fairy guards because, the fairies do it for the money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the GP manages to promise the fairies that they can have back the egg, the Fabergé dragon egg,
mm-hmm.
that was given to Peter Cadogan. And they managed to pull off stealing the egg and then hide it on the roof of Cadogan House, which Merritt figures out.
Right.
And so the vampires don't have fairy guards anymore. Their guards are human now. Which, yeah, that's going to be great. Let's hire humans to defend a bunch of vampires.
Right.
That seems kind of backwards.
Yeah, that's not a good idea. But yeah, the thing with it is that you don't know what the GP's planning or what they're doing. And the thing with them is that they actually kind of feel the same way about Cadogan House that the humans do. They're like, you're creating all of these problems. And we didn't have these problems before Merritt came along and became Sentinel. Well,
right, but the bad part about it is none of it is actually Cadogan's fault. It's all because of the stuff Selena did. She is the one that stirred up all the trouble. She is the one that put Merritt into the situations that, got her in trouble.
Right.
I mean, it can all go back to the stuff Selena did. Even though Selena is dead now,
mm-hmm.
It kind of all goes back to the stuff that she started because the GP overlooked the things that she did
mm-hmm.
because she was a member.
Right. Yeah, and I never understood that, and I still don't. I don't know how they can take everything that she tried to do and just be okay with it.
Sweep it under the rug?
Yeah.
I don't either because, wow. But yeah, they come in and they have these rules in their books and they're going to try to take everything away from the house and leave them destitute with no money and turn them out on the streets. But Ethan finds a way. Oh, and Ethan is reinvested as master, by the way.
Yes.
He takes back control because, part of the problem they had at the time was that, Ethan was master and then he got killed and Ethan came back. So then they had two masters and nobody really knew what to do with that.
Yeah.
So they turned master. It was relinquished to Ethan's control. He was master of the house, and he collected their Cadogan medals, and they turned those in, and which Merritt still has one because she has the one that Tate had. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know if Tate did anything to it, and the fact that she mentions this other necklace, this other Cadogan medal, makes me think that it might be important.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. See, what had happened, and I don't remember exactly when, but when Tate was locked up before he got out and started having, his dual personality issues, she was trying to buy information off of him, and he said that he would give her information for her Cadogan medal.
Yeah.
And so she gave it to him, and she eventually got a replacement, which is the one she turned in. So she still has the one that Tate had because he gave it back to her once his evil twin went off and did his own thing, and we only had the good one left. So yeah, I wonder if he did anything. And like you said, since he mentioned it, I think there has to be something there.
Yeah, and I kind of want to know how this is going to affect Cadogan's relationship with Gray and Navari. Because, their relationship with Navari is kind of strained anyway.
Right.
Because of the whole Merritt and Morgan and Selena and all that business. Because Morgan is still acting. I'm sorry, but he wasn't so bad in this book when they had to go to Navari because the vampires were killed. But, in the couple of books prior to that, he was kind of still acting like a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was still, hurt over Merritt choosing Ethan. And I'm like, but, get over it, dude. Yeah. You're a vampire. You're going to be on this earth for a really long time unless somebody stakes you in the heart. You might as well suck it up and stop acting like a sullen teenager over it. Don't make this awkward for everybody.
Right. Well, the thing is that on top of everything else happening, they have vampires that are turning up dead. And the first ones were found, and they were two rogues, and they had been last seen at one of the vampire registration centers, which, let me just say, it's ridiculous that they had vampire registration centers, but I digress. And they were found laying side by side, holding hands, but they had been decapitated. It was very gruesome. Yes. And so they were thinking, well, somebody's attacking rogues. But then, they found two vampires that were inside, that were actually killed inside Navari House. And they were, placed the same exact way. So I think once some of the really serious stuff came to Navari House and Morgan had to deal with some of the things that Merritt's had to deal with, I think he started really understanding it more.
Yeah. And, I would really like for him and Merritt to, be able to be civil to one another because, like I said, at first, when Morgan's first introduced, he had so much promise.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, here's this really good-looking vampire dude, and he's kind of my type. He's the whole, rock and roll leather jacket kind of,
Yeah.
And I kind of dig that look, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, Morgan. And then, he turns into, a tool like a lot of the other people in these books.
Well, and because, see, at first, I was on his side. I thought that Merritt had kind of treated him badly, and that she had, I don't want to say she took advantage of him, but she kind of did because she didn't feel anything really for him. She was kind of leading him on just because she felt like she should. And
two, there was like I said in the last podcast, there was the whole Ethan telling her to date him thing.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to. She told Ethan she didn't want to because she didn't feel that way about Morgan, and he made her do it anyway.
Right. So, that's, all of that is understandable. But I was starting to think, okay, he does need to get over it now.
Yeah. I mean, it's time to let it go. It's time to move forward. You're a vampire. You've been around a long time, and you're going to be around a lot longer. So why don't you just suck it up so that you can get along? And two, then there's the whole thing. It's been said in the books a few times that Merritt will eventually be the master of her own house.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot wait to see how that. I just hope that doesn't involve Ethan dying again.
No, we've already been through that once. We don't need to do that again. No.
You hear me, Chloe Neill? You cannot kill Ethan again.
No.
Not allowed.
That's off the table.
You already did it once and you fixed it. I don't think you can come back from that again. But I think Ethan will end up putting her forward to become a master.
I think so. Yeah.
Which actually, now that they've left the GP, I don't really know how that's going to work. I'm hoping maybe they're going to just do away with the GP altogether somehow.
That would make me very happy. I really would.
I'm hoping, actually, what I would like to see happen would be for Navarre to leave the GP and then Greyhouse leave the GP. That would be, kind of a show of solidarity, like, you're all a bunch of tools and we're not dealing with you anymore.
Well, I'm hoping, because we didn't really see for sure. They kind of slunk back to their own little places.
Yeah.
We didn't, after the end of House Rules, with what happened to Darius and, the Indian vampire, I don't remember her name, Lakshmi or something like that.
Yeah.
After what happened to them, I'm not going to say what, you would think maybe they would be a bit more sympathetic.
You would think.
Well, Lakshmi was.
Yeah.
I just would like to, especially since, they got in some serious trouble and Cadogan House didn't just leave them there. They went out and they saved their behinds.
Even though they really, had no...
They had no loyalty to them.
Obligation.
No loyalty, no obligation. They couldn't stand them. And yet they did it anyway because it was the right thing to do.
Right.
You would think something like that would leave an impression. Let's just see what happens with that.
Well, Darius is kind of a jerk, so...
Also true. So we'll have to see.
Who knows?
We will have to read the next book that's coming out in August. It's called Fighting Bad.
Yes.
And I can't wait.
I can't either. I'm just really glad that you like these.
I do. I really, really enjoyed them.
Yes. Chloe Neill is amazing.
Yes.
I love these books. And I really, really, really want to read her Dark Elite series as well. But I can't find them anywhere. They didn't have them at McKay when I went. I looked. Because I was going to get them. I was also going to get, book 3 of the Chicagoland Vampires since Holly let mine get thieved. But, they didn't have it either. They usually have her books. Well, they did last time I went. They didn't have any this time. Me and Holly still need to try to go back soon, so I'm hoping maybe I can find them then. If I find book 3, I'm going to be like, here, you're going to put this on your credit, and then you're going to give it to me, because you let mine get stolen. But yeah, and like I said, I'm definitely open to reading her Dark Elite series because these are so well written.
Oh yeah.
And I love her tone that she writes in. I love the snarky humor because I'm snarky.
Oh yes, she's very good at that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Biting Bad, and I kind of wonder how many of these she actually plans on writing.
According to Goodreads, there's let's see. There is, book 8 that's coming out in August. There is one expected publication for 2014, number 9, and it's called Wild Things.
Ooh.
According to Goodreads. This is all on Goodreads. That's all I'm looking at right now. And then there is a listing for an untitled book 10. There's nothing after that.
What do you want to bet Wild Things has something to do with the Shifters?
I hope so. I want more. I want more about them.
That's what I was going to mention earlier. Is Mallory paying her penance, working in the bar and with the Shifters?
I love that.
Yes, she's a grunt. She's washing dishes and cleaning up after Shifters, and she can't use magic.
Nope.
But, I really think she made some big steps towards actually getting better in this book.
Yes, I would agree.
Her and Merritt are starting to talk again, and she dyed her hair back blue.
Yes, that proves right there that she's on the mend.
Yeah, which before, I think she was kind of, doing the blue thing with magic, but not only did she just dye it blue, she apparently dyed it this blue ombre that fades from light to dark, and, really put a lot of effort into it.
I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's a good sign that she, is getting back to the Mallory Carmichael that we all loved.
Yeah, I hope so, because she, I know she made a big, huge mistake, but she understands what she did and why she did it, so she needs to be able to work her way back from this. And I think she will.
And I love the shifters, and I love that we find out what Jeff was finally.
Yes. Oh, and I like what he was. No, we can't tell you what he is.
I like Gabriel. I like, all of the shifters except for that one book where, and the green eyes. Oh my God, I can't believe I about forgot about that. The green eyes that I think it was Gabriel saw in Merritt's future that were just like Ethan's but not.
Yes.
And she's laying there thinking about, the fact that her and Ethan can never have children.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I want to know what's going on here.
Yeah, that's.
And I just want to know if that is going to tie in, because that and the Cadogan medal are all mentioned like right there within a few pages of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, is one going to have anything to do with the other?
I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Yes, I definitely want to know what's up with these green eyes, because. And apparently Chloe Neill really likes green-eyed people.
I did mention that, I think, on Twitter. I'm like, there are a lot of green-eyed people. And disproportionate to the amount of green-eyed people that there usually are, because green eyes are kind of unusual.
Yeah.
It's like Ethan has green eyes, Malik has green eyes, Ketcher has green eyes, Paige has green eyes. Who am I missing? I think there's a couple more. But
yeah,
there's mystery green eyes that we don't know whose they are yet.
That apparently are just like Ethan's, but nothing like Ethan's.
Yeah. So there's a lot of green-eyed people.
Really, in real life, the people that I associate with, I think I know two people with green eyes, and one of those is my dad.
I only know one.
And Holly's are green most days. Hers are the weird green that changes sometimes. Mine are some weird color between brown and green. Sometimes they look green. Most of the time they're just brown. But my dad has green eyes. Well, my dad has green eyes. My mom has brown eyes. I have some weird combination of the two. I don't know. But, yeah, there's just not really that many green-eyed people out in the world.
Well, Chloe Neill wants to change that. She wants more green-eyed people.
Not that I would like, but...
No, it's fine.
Well, if you want more green-eyed people, you need to not have them be vampires so that they can actually reproduce.
Well, there you go.
Just a thought. But yeah, Gabriel mentioned these green eyes in one of the earlier books, and then it's mentioned again in this one. So I'm thinking, yeah, she doesn't want us to forget that. She's probably going to throw that at us again soon.
I hope so.
I hope she explains it. Maybe in Biting Bad.
Maybe. We'll see. So especially since it was reminded to us, we were reminded of it, this last time. So
yeah,
maybe
right at the end of House Rules. So yeah, definitely, I give all of these books 2 thumbs up.
I do too. They were very, very good.
Very good.
So
maybe I won't, say, hey, look, we got an ARC of book 7, so you're gonna have to read these other 6.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. I didn't mind reading them. I enjoyed them thoroughly.
I was going to say, at least it was worth it. At least they were really good.
Yes, that's true. So, anyway, since we really, 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 really liked these books, we wanted to give our listeners the opportunity to discover them too. And that's why we decided to have our contest, our giveaway.
Yes.
And we are giving away the first book in the series, which is called Some Girls Bite. Just as a starting point, because you got to start at the beginning and get to know Merritt and Ethan and Mallory and Ketcher and the whole gang. And so we wanted to go ahead and announce that winner. So I would do it. I would do a drum roll if I knew how, but I don't. So
Get on the internet and find a sound effect. Insert drum roll here.
Okay, here we go.
And then you can edit that.
There we go. I'm being on the table.
That works.
I don't have a drum. So the winner is Morgan. She responded. Is she or he? I'm not sure. It could go either way, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
There's a comment over on our website. So, Morgan, we will contact you. I believe we've got your email here on the website. When you leave the comment, it records your email. So you will get an email from us requesting all of your mailing information, and we will send you the book. So, yay! Congratulations!
Yes, and we're going to try, hopefully, to do more giveaways in the future.
Yes, because it's fun.
When we do. Yeah, it's fun, and it makes people want to listen to us because they get free stuff.
Yeah, who doesn't like getting free stuff?
Free stuff is always good.
We like that. So, yeah, we're definitely going to try and do that more often, especially now that we have more people listening, so we can have more opportunities.
Listeners are good.
We do. We love our listeners.
Yes. So, yeah, when we start reading any more good books, we'll try to, if we do this again where we, discuss an entire series, we'll try to give away the first book.
Yeah. So that you can get started on it and come to love it the way we love it.
Yes. Or, hate it the way we hate it.
Depending,
Yeah. Although, if it sucks and we don't like it, we're probably not going to give it away, so.
That's true. We probably wouldn't do that to you. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for us tonight.
I think it will.
So, we would love to hear from anybody who has read this series. Whether you loved it, whether you hated it, whether you liked any of the characters or hated any of the characters. We feel strongly about pretty much all of them in one way or another. So we would love to hear what you think. And you can contact us many ways. You can email us at bibliophiles.podcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at BibAnonPodcast, or you can visit our official website, which is www.bibliophiles-anonymous.com. The discussion post over at the Malorian Tavern, as per our usual Book of the Month post, it happens on the 15th, so you can find us over there, www.maltavern.com.
And we look forward to hearing from you.
Yes. And also, we are still looking for topic recommendations, so if you would like to give us any ideas, we could certainly use them. We would also love to get some feedback or book recommendations, too. So
yes, we'll read pretty much anything. We'll try anything once.
We will, yes. We are very equal opportunity readers. So yes. We'll try anything. We always have strong opinions about everything that we read, whether we like it, whether we dislike it. You'll hear. We're not shy about sharing. So I think that's going to do it for us for this episode. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.